The explosive hype is alive in this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, as Goku and Android 17 fight against the magical girl transforming Kamikaze Fireballs, with Android 17 fighting against the super powerful Ribrianne and Goku doing battle with the key manipulating Rosie. Not only that, but Gohan and Piccolo come out to play, and a universe gets destroyed in this week's episode. There are so many little details about this episode, but there's one that I want to mention first before I forget it. The two mysterious fighters who are from Universe 6 have officially been revealed in this episode. We've seen every other fighter before, and hell, even one of them gets defeated in this episode. But what is probably one of the biggest shocks and most surprising elements is that the last two fighters from Universe 6 are Namekians. That's right, Namekians, aside from Piccolo, are going to be in the Tournament of Power. And you know what? That's pretty damned exciting. And it makes sense that they would be a part of Universe 6, as they are a mirror of 7, and the possibilities are frankly endless at this point. Is Piccolo going to fight against the other Namekians? Will they have some sort of weird, crazy abilities that Piccolo is unaware of? What are the Namekians from Universe 6 like in the first place? Because as you remember, a lot of this stuff is like a mirror of that universe. So like the Saiyans from Universe 6 are really good people. They're not like the warrior Vikings of Universe 7. Whereas the Namekians from Universe 7 are very peaceful people, outside of a few exceptions like King Piccolo and the original version of Piccolo from Dragon Ball. But are the Namekians from Universe 6 barbaric and evil and super destructive? I just cannot wait to see. The possibilities right here, I'm just imagining how this battle could go down, especially because Namekians have the ability to fuse with one another. What if these two Namekians actually do that and go up against Piccolo, who at this point is technically composed of 3 different Namekians? Piccolo, Kami, and Nail. And who's to say that he couldn't actually allow them to separate from his body? Would that be, like, allowed in this actual tournament? It's something that me and my friends have actually been talking about, and something that I want to throw out there as a theory, where we know that the original King Piccolo had the ability to expel a reincarnation from his body in the form of an egg. Could Piccolo somehow allow both Kami and Nail to actually leave his body only for a temporary amount of time to actually help him out in this fight? Is this even allowed in the Tournament of Power? Like I said, the possibilities here are so exciting with all of these Namekians in one place. And damn it, it has gotten me excited. The other big parts about this week's episode are just all of the other crazy fights that are going on with Ribrianne, who is still incredibly pissed off fighting against Android 17. And despite how incredibly cool, calculated, and calm that Android 17 is, Ribrianne is pretty damn powerful. And did anybody else notice that she fights like a fighter from Keijo? She actually uses her ass like some sort of like giant cannon. It's basically Ribrianne's version of the vacuum butt cannon. That's for all the Keijo fans out there. But she actually utilizes like her entire giant body to fight against Android 17, which I thought was really creative. And there's even Rosie, who's still doing a pretty good job against Goku, still being able to manipulate the ki and use it as a feint so that she actually can attack. The thing is, Goku is just so incredibly powerful that nothing really is going to stop him, and Android 17 decides to intervene and use his shields to protect Goku from all of the destruction. Watching Goku and 17 work together is definitely one of the coolest things right here, because they're taking advantage of the fact that these two characters have never had a lot of screen time together, and by making them act all buddy-buddy and fighting against these magical transforming girls, it just strengthens their overall relationship, and frankly, it's just manly and badass as hell. The battle does continue until eventually they decide to make a strategic retreat, and that's all thanks to that one yard rat who goes by the name of Jimeze in this week's episode. Basically, he is acting as their knight to the Kamikaze Fireballs, or at least that's what Hellas, the god of destruction from Universe 2, is saying. So all those other warriors are basically there to protect the Kamikaze Fireballs, and in that sense, they haven't been doing that great of a job thus far, but the fact that they made a strategic retreat means that we are going to see them in action again, and man, I cannot wait to see that, especially more of Ribrianne. She's such a funny and over-the-top character, and speaking of funny, over-the-top, and certainly corpulent, we have Botamo, who is from Universe 6. He's someone that we saw in the previous tournament in the series, and his whole gimmick basically doesn't save him in this tournament either, where, yes, he is able to just tank a couple of hits, but Gohan strategically actually fights back against Botamo by punching him continuously until he has him in the air, to the point where Botamo can't actually fire back with his ki blasts or even with his fists because he's just so damn big. And then Gohan just ends up knocking his ass right out of the ring. So, that's the very first fighter from Universe 6 who's going to get knocked out, and just like last time, yes, it is Botamo, which is kind of a shame. I wanted to see a little bit more from this character, as I think his overall image is very goofy, and I think they could have had a lot more fun with that. But basically, Botamo was just made to lose, which is kind of unfortunate. The rest of the episode, however, is dedicated to the battle with Gohan and Piccolo going up against the remaining fighters from Universe 10, and their heads are basically right on the chopping block as one of their other members is soundly defeated, and that leaves their two strongest warriors, who go by the name of Rubalt, who's just some weird-looking red dude that Piccolo fights against, and Obuni, who's going to be the main opponent of Gohan in this episode. And this fight is really cool because Obuni actually has a pretty unique technique that we've never seen from the series. He's actually able to create these like weird energy clones of himself, which makes it really difficult for Gohan to actually like determine where he's going to be coming from or how he's actually going to be attacking. And it's a really flashy looking move. That, combined with his overall general appearance, just makes him a really cool fighter. I especially love that he's like this weird green alien wearing these strange headphones. He's super gangly and very lean, but incredibly fast, and this, combined with his abilities to manipulate his ki, actually gives Gohan a pretty tough fight. And that's because Gohan just can't get a solid hit on this guy because he can't determine where he's going to be. So he decides to up the ante a little bit by unlocking his true potential again, which brings out the white aura and, of course, the distinctive tuft of hair right on his forehead. And that's when he allows Obuni to actually just continuously hit him, which allows him to counter that and just completely annihilate this dude. It only takes a couple of punches and one Kamehameha blast to actually defeat this guy. And as for the battle that Piccolo has with the red guy Rubalt, well, it gets over really, really quick. I assumed that Piccolo was going to defeat this guy pretty easily, and he does it with one of his classic techniques, the Hell Zone Grenade. Even though he doesn't say it out loud, I've always really loved that technique. It's so flashy and cool how he's able to trick the enemy, completely surround them in all of this power, and just have it crash down on top of them. Speaking of which, I didn't even mention that really cool scene where Goku was fighting against Rosie, and the way he was able to sort of trick her is that he got up really close, and he trapped her within these like massive energy ki blasts, and then hits her at point blank range, which causes all of them to just collapse on top of her and explode in this massive burst of energy. It's awesome, and what I love about this is that he actually learned this technique while fighting against Rosie. Goku is learning to become a better fighter by utilizing techniques from other universes just by participating in this tournament, and that is freaking awesome. And what's most important about this episode right here is that when all the fighters from Universe 10 are defeated, the universe is immediately destroyed. Everybody realizes the seriousness of the situation, especially Gohan, when he sees that Obuni actually had this like small little locket that had a picture of him and his family, and that's when he's like, holy crap, I just killed a guy who might not have actually been bad, who had a family with aspirations and dreams. Holy shit, I'm a fucking murderer. That's what's going on through Gohan's head, but he knows ultimately it is for survival, especially when Piccolo tells him, we gotta keep going. It's either them or us. The seriousness of the arc just intensifies every single time a universe is destroyed, and just like last time, there's no hesitation. Just immediately, the Grand Priest announces, this universe is gone, and then the two Zenos, in the most creepily happy fashion, decide to destroy this universe in the blink of an eye, and then the angel just sits there regretting the fact that she won't be able to see Rumshi again, the giant pink elephant. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? This one was satisfying as hell. It's always great when we get a lot of action, but this one got me really excited over the prospect of actually seeing Gohan and Piccolo in battle. And while it was an exciting battle, I don't think it's going to be the defining fight for both of these characters in this arc. Basically, this is just a little speed bump, but it was one hell of a speed bump to say the least. I'm really excited that the Kamikaze Fireballs are going to be returning, as their whole shtick and gimmick is still a lot of fun, and I still think that they deserve one hell of a fight. That, and I really don't think that we've seen all of Ribrianne's powers quite yet. it's implied that she's pretty damn powerful, and she even shocked 17 a couple times in this episode, especially with her big ol' ass attack, which was pretty damn hilarious, and like I said, reminded me of the Keijo anime series. Rosie herself is also really cool with her ability to manipulate ki, but with Goku sort of analyzing it the entire time, I'd say it's really only a matter of time before she does officially lose, and I can't wait to see if he's actually going to fight against the Yardrat again, because he did fight him previously a couple episodes ago, but he just got completely knocked out, and I honestly thought that he was lost from the entire tournament, like, that Yardrat is not going to be able to fight anymore. I thought that he went over the edge, but apparently that is not what's actually happening. All I know is this was super damned exciting and really cool, and I love when they introduce new techniques, and that's exactly what we got from the character of Obuni, and his battle with Gohan was pretty awesome. I was hoping Piccolo's would be a little more cool, but at least he got to release a classic technique that he hasn't used in a long time, the Hellzone Grenade. Just, there's a lot of great moments from this episode, and that's a reason to check it out. It's super entertaining and action-packed, and for the most part, it looks pretty good. Of course, they still are reusing a lot of animation from the series, but still I'm willing to look the other way. It's not like Dragon Ball has never done that before, and I mean Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, they've all done it, so I'm not going to give this one a get-out-of-jail-free card either. That being said, like I said, it was entertaining as shit, so I'm giving this episode a 4 out of 5. Most importantly, you heard my thoughts about this review, but I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's action-packed episode of Dragon Ball Super in the comments section below. Did you have a favorite fight scene from this episode? What did you think about Gohan's battle with Obuni and his ki manipulating abilities? Who are the Kamikaze Fireballs going to fight against next? And what do you hope to see from the next episode, where it looks like Hit is going to be fighting against Dispo of the Pride Troopers. And it looks like Goku's going to be teaming up with him, and he's even bringing back the red Super Saiyan color. How awesome is that? We haven't seen that in a long time, and I've always really enjoyed that look. I can't wait to see it again in action, and just to see him and Hit team up against the Pride Troopers, I think is going to be really awesome. We even get to see that other member that we haven't seen of, the one that's real short and weird looking, kind of reminds me of Goldo from the Ginyu Force. Just, man, so hyped. Make sure to tell me what you guys hope to see from that. Thank you all for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for everything Dragon Ball Super related. And make sure if you liked this video to share it with all of your friends and to hit that like button. Go ahead and do a Kamehameha Blast. Shoot it right down there. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and as always, stay damn down, baby.